Ooga chaka. I can't stop this feeling inside of me.
Hello and welcome to the Utropeia podcast. Your host am I, Ken, middle initial T, last name Pede. A centipede I am.
Oh my god.
Hello and welcome to the Utropeia podcast, the podcast where I get a frog in my throat and talk like Yoda on accident in the beginning.
Sure. You got a Kermit in your throat.
Yeah, I got
Hello there. Podcast the frog here.
This is the way we're going this week.
Well, we've already knocked out Jim Henson, so that's good.
Okay.
You're listening to Utropeia, the podcast where we talk about tropes in the media. I am your host, Ken. Pumpken. I think this is the third time I've used that name. It'll change next week. Don't worry about it. On my list of co-hosts and guests for this week, we have Chris Moonjump.
Hey! You know, in space they can't talk.
How do they communicate?
By jamming.
It's
By
true.
jumping.
It's
A series of jumps.
It's strictly by dunk.
Moondog.
Moondog! If Ryan ever comes on the podcast, he's Moondog. And to my right, the lovely Anna Cranberry.
And na. I'm awake right now. It's nice to see you. We've also got whoever wants to talk next.
Like Bill, Mr.Yu video.
How's it going?
It's Bill. Yeah. Yay.
And Todd Ogredose.
Hi everyone, thanks for listening.
You were so genuine.
Someone's gotta bring it around.
Someone's gotta ground us back in. And why not let it be the Earth Hole? So.
Hello, Earth Holes. Now is the part of the podcast where we talk about things that we're excited about in the media or bummed out about in the media. Bill, I thought you said you were excited about a lot of stuff.
I'm excited about a lot of stuff. All Godzilla. All Godzilla.
Ooh, Gojira.
The announcement of the sequel,
Oh, yeah?
for one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once they reached a certain amount of money, apparently they decided to just start production.
We're doing this now.
That's the thing.
They
And
had
also,
a button on their desk to just slam
Yeah.
down as soon as it reached a certain amount.
there's just somebody watching the
I hope they have
box
one of those
office.
tasteful "We Did It" banners.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah,
Getting posters.
that's
but-
not a tasteful
So-
banner.
After Saturday when we went and saw Godzilla, I have been on a Godzilla kick, and I've been watching the movies. Also Gamera, friend of all children. Which hopefully will be my first animation in forever. Will be about the two of those things.
Yay.
I'll be excited to see it.
So will I.
Good. Let me know if you need help.
I might do just that.
Let's go now.
Alright, see you losers.
All right,
Me and
until
Anna
we
got
talk
better
geek
stuff
next
to do.
week. Bye-bye.
We got one.
We're teleporting into another episode. Bazoom. Todd, what are you excited about this week?
I'm very happy because at the end of the last week, I purchased the new Kirby game for the 3DS, which is adorable and so much fun. Also today, I saw a second trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that was so good.
It was good.
Yeah, where it shows a lot more like action in it, and you get to hear a couple more of the characters really kind of like converse and talk with each other. So looks swell. That'll be coming out pretty soon, actually, won't it?
August.
Yeah. Oh, is it August?
Yeah, August
Is it
1st.
August?
Yep,
We got a
August
little to go then. So just
Yeah.
go to park my butt here on the hype train and wait for it.
Get hyped. That's the whistle. That's the whistle. And speaking of whistles, we could really use that bell.
Please help us get a bell.
Fund our Kickstarter that doesn't exist right now, but it will for a
If
bell.
only we had a bell to alert you to the fact that we had a Kickstarter for a bell.
Could be one of our stretch goals.
That'll be another one of our Kickstarters.
The Kickstarter is the stretch goal.
No, because we already know our first stretch goal. We also need a little bit of investment from our fans. Because we need to pick up a vinyl edition of Chumbawamba.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's the first one. I thought her stretch goal was if you donate $10, I will eat Taco Bell and send you the video.
I think that's a reward.
Yeah, that's our first reward.
That's part of the package. Yeah, that's part of one of the packages.
Okay.
Me eating a crunch wrap, and I'll write your name on the wrapper.
Oh, no.
So that you know it's a different crunch wrap.
Greasy and awful. Oh.
Get ready to have a boyfriend /
Also,
fiance
make
who
sure
smells
that
like
this
crunch
doesn't
wraps.
get posted to
Oh.
Reddit, or Ken is going to be eating a lot of crunch wraps.
Seal of approval. Stamp it.
It might take me a year, but I'll do
You're
it.
gonna see those rappers on eBay.
That'd be hilarious. Chris, what are you excited about this week?
All right, so I've actually got a couple of heavy hitters during the week here.
Okay.
All of them video games, because like I said, I'm a sad person and hate the rest of the world.
Okay.
But video games are a different story.
You're like an inverse forum.
Exactly.
Redacted.
So, first up on the list, they released the new Wolfenstein game.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, for being a game about shooting space future Nazis,
Sure.
and, the fact that Wolfenstein has always just kind of been Wolfenstein, actually, it looks and has played really well thus far.
Yeah.
It's actually a really solid shooter. I recommend it. And the story, actually, in it is not bad. The writers that they had for the team are quite good.
Yeah.
Next up on the list winds up being kind of a little-known game, which is Drakengard 3.
Mhm.
And the Drakengard series is basically you can ride around on dragons and murder things in the air, or you can jump on the ground and murder people with weapons, and it's all fun. It's like a good Dynasty Warriors, but with the most depressing set of stories pretty much ever told. They
Dynasty
never
Warriors?
get better. Yes.
Okay.
No. But and that one I'm very excited about, but I still need to go pick that up from my old apartment. And then also the third new release this week that I need to pick up probably after the weekend is Transistor, which was done by the guys who did Bastion.
Oh, cool. That came out. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I'd seen a bunch of gameplay videos and things on it today, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah. I'll probably check that out after the podcast.
Yeah, it's I totally like that's one of those from as good as Bastion was. I would buy it sight unseen. All they would have to tell me is that they made a new game. So, and then in the fourth piece of news, which is kind of something exciting for all of us, they just announced that they're going to be that Warner Brothers is actually going to be releasing a new Gauntlet for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
Yay!
And so that means we can have online or local co-op player action.
Ooh.
So
Green Archer needs food?
Huh. A green arrow.
No. Why it's always gotta be green. A green arrow or a green lantern.
You got to be able to see all those green arrows flying at you. So you need a green lantern.
You need
to
to
see
see
all
all
those.
those
Stop it,
green
Clyde.
arrows.
My ward is not green.
Gotta make
That's
a
why
hero called Lantern Arrow and he shoots lanterns at you.
the iron green spider lantern.
Spider.
Sounds horrifying.
Glowing spiders?
An iron spider green something or other. Why not? What are you excited for?
I'm excited about many things. Just last week,
Yes.
the next episode of the Walking Dead game came out, which was very awesome. Holy shit! Check it out! It's real good.
Yeah.
The writing's very excellent. this week, the new X-Men movie comes out, which I'm very pumped for because they brought back a lot of the cast.
That was
I'm
mine.
a little nervous if it's going to be weird, but First Class was pretty good. So we'll see.
They're already making another one, and they are in negotiations to have the X-Men appear in some Marvel stuff. Actually,
that would be awesome.
That happened over the weekend. So
just now?
Yeah. As we are recording this.
Oh my god, I would be so happy.
So they are in talks about it. If we actually get to see Wolverine snicked bubbing next to some of our Marvel movie counterparts, that would be absolutely awesome. So yeah, I guess that's mine. Also. Anything else?
Also, Guardians of the Galaxy, very good. Game of Thrones has been amazing this entire season.
Game and Thronin.
Game and Thronin has been very good and very German.
Yeah, very German. The Game and Thronins. There's a lot of sausages in the opening. Just a big spinning pretzel instead of a sun.
Just like a beer stein and a pretzel. Instead of the werewood.
The werewood. It's just a beer stein. With a big sad face on it. Crying more beer.
Yes, for media, it feels like this year has been amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for not only spending time with friends last weekend, but this upcoming weekend as well, and in a couple more weeks. So this is going to be a good month.
This is a good week for cons.
It's a good time to see everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at ukulele.
Yay!
Hooray!
Besides Days of Future Past, which is coming out soon, I'm a little wary, I guess, because some of the X-Men films, let's be honest, are a little hit, a little miss, and then sometimes they'll make it really good. So I think this one can go either way. I'm excited for that. Motor City Comic Con was super cool. I got a bunch of really nice trades, some Image comics. I'm really pumped to start reading some stuff. It was really nice hanging out with you guys, actually.
You're the first person to tell me that.
Because we all live... I'm sorry, it had to be online and not in person, because I'm a ghost. Yeah, my golem body is in the shop, so we gotta make a new one. That's new stuff. But yeah, there's that, and I'm excited to be teleported into a land of talking about geekery. I give that segue a B-.
Sorry, that was my teleporting noise.
That's a good one. It's slow, but it's steady. Okay, so this week we're talking about teleportation as a power. I'm going to make it a little bit broader because, doing a little bit of research for this, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with teleportation. But before we get into that, I guess I'll just ask, what's the main thing that you think of when it's teleportation? And if you guys can each give maybe one example, and then we can get into like the big meaty parts later on. So, I've been starting with everyone else first. Todd, who do you think of, actually, when I do,
The Fly.
The Fly! The Cronenberg,
both
Jeff
of
Goldblum.
them, the original does stuff too, where it's all with, guy creates teleport pods, goes to, teleport with him, a fly goes with him, and they get genetically mixed together. Real, especially the remake was a real creepy movie, but cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I always think about when I think of teleporters in general.
Bio, what do you think of?
Probably first thing that comes to mind is City Heroes, the teleport travel power. But since that's dead, probably Yugo from Wakfu.
Yeah, that was one of mine too. It's really cool how he kind of like makes the portals with his hands in that circular motion, and he has a really wide range of versatility for what he can do with it too, which is really nice. Also, I'll go Anna and then Chris. Anna, what do you think of when it's teleportation?
Usually I think of just sci-fi in general.
Okay.
Like Star Trek kind of stuff. Where it's a sign of the technology at hand.
Oh, so Scotty, pretty much.
Beam me up, Scotty. I can go into the other stuff later.
Yeah.
But that's just my first.
Yeah, that's a first example.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
I'm going to go for kind of the classic standby in terms of, the person who made me think that if I had to pick a superpower, it would be teleportation.
Yay.
It's Nightcrawler.
Yes.
Wagner.
Very good.
Especially when he was raped.
Excuse me?
Yeah, sword building Nightcrawler, like with like a swashbuckler hat was the best Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Nightcrawler, he's actually as skilled sword fighting with his tail as he is with his hands. Fun fact for you.
So, if ambidextrous is good with both hands...
And butt dexterous.
Butt dexterous. We really need that bell. Oh,
And
God, that was a good one. Oh, that's so good. I had a lot of them when I was thinking of this. Nightcrawler was my first one, and then Yugo. And I guess we didn't talk about this, but it sort of goes along the same lines as Yugo, the game Portal.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would make sense.
Yep, the portal gun, because it technically is, albeit with a stationary object, teleportation.
Well, I mean, Fly was the same thing, where it's a stationary object between the two, so...
So now you're thinking with portals. And thinking of portals, actually, let's go into... Are there any, like, commonalities that you can kind of think of when it comes to teleportation? Anything that kind of unifies the whole thing all together as a sort of power? Is there any real commonality to it at all?
Well, you have, like, your long-distance teleportation and your short-distance teleportation. Usually your short distance is your line-of-sight kind of stuff, like Nightcrawler. And your long-distance are more of,
Scotty.
Yeah, kind of a Scotty, or even, like, machines, or I think there's other characters have... Let's say, like, Pixie, I think, from X-Men can...
Yeah, the new
can
X-Men.
do some long-distance teleportation stuff.
There was one movie, and I know it's sort of a fine line for me. Do you guys remember a movie called Jumper?
Jumper,
with Hayden Christensen.
Oh,
yeah.
The
weird thing about it is it wasn't the best movie, but it had some really cool stuff in it about teleportation, about like thinking of a place and being able to move there, like the way that you could build up your momentum just by teleporting short distances to like add to attacks and stuff. Like the fighting that they did for it, and like the crack effects where it like bent space-time around it and using quantum physics. That was pretty interesting, actually. And I guess when it's a natural sort of ability, it seems to kind of warp space-time almost. Like if you have some sort of inherent ability to do that sort of stuff, it seems to involve like more of a warping of space-time rather than like creating a portal if you're like actually moving your body from one place to another. And that's kind of interesting too. And I guess it's mostly like a lot of tech on the other side if it's not something that just sort of comes natural, like a portal gun or a teleporter or like a belt that helps you do it or something like that. So I guess that's the only like real correlation that I can sort of see when it comes to sort of the teleportation trope, I guess.
Yeah, with like the portal gun, but I think like full of like teleporting characters do use a portal or like a rip in space to go through. A good example of that is Blink from Exiles and Age of Apocalypse was a teleporter.
Not Blink from 182.
No, that's. Can we just drop all the small things and focus on the big picture here? So, but she did kind of a thing where she would create like little portals, and her teammates can jump through them and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna talk about Doorman. Oh God, that's so good. Okay. No, that's okay. Okay. Yeah. Who does it well or just does it differently? Doorman. Doorman is awesome. He's from the Great Lakes Avengers, Great Lakes X-Men, Great Lakes
Champions,
Unlimited.
I think is one of them.
Initiative. It's one of Marvel's more joke, more sort of fun, kind of Deadpool sort of titles where it's pretty much superpowers that no one would really want, but still kind of happen. And Doorman's ability is that he can teleport you into the next room by becoming the door.
I think they classify him as like a level 10 teleporter, which means he can go anywhere in the world as long as it's in the next room.
That's good. It's like a Kitty Pryde kind of, but it's like really, really basic. It has to be like a certain thinness of a wall. Like you couldn't like go through like 10 feet of concrete or anything like that. It has to be like
Your standard wall.
yeah. It's like there was like the Christmas episode, and a woman locked her baby in the car, and he's like, "Wow, I can actually help out with this one."
That's such a fun story to read as Great Lakes Avengers.
Oh god, and I'll talk about Grasshopper in another one because he is just one of
I
my
love
favorite things.
Grasshopper.
And
I love all of them, but yeah, Grasshopper's something special.
does anyone else have another one that just does it really well or does it really differently that you can think of?
He doesn't do it really differently, but does it? Who does it really well is Strange, and you want to get into your long distance teleportation.
Adam Strange, yeah.
That's universes apart that he travels through Zeta Beam.
Could you, yeah. I was just going to ask if you could, like, give kind of the synopsis for the planet of Ron and the Adam Strange sort of saga for some people who don't read DC.
If I remember correctly, Adam Strange, he kind of stumbled upon it on accident. The Zeta Beam, and it kind of like connected these two worlds, one of them being Earth and the other one being Ron, which is kind of Earth-like, but kind of like retro-future-y kind of planet. And
like Rocket Age sort of future,
pretty much. And
almost.
that's Adam Strange himself kind of adopts that look to him, which is really cool. He's a very cool kind of character. If you want to read a not really super powered character, but someone who's just kind of smart and uses his wits, Adam Strange is a good read. But yeah, he kind of stumbles upon this beam technology called the Zeta Beam, and it shoots him off of Earth to Rand for a certain amount of time before he has to go back. And he becomes kind of like a space hero out there because of it. He's a really cool character.
They do some funny stuff with him because he's only on Ron for like a certain point of time before he gets transported back to Earth, but it's only for like short periods of time. So it'll be like he's gone for a week on Earth, but he's been on Ron for like 10 years or something like that.
Like that.
Yeah, but he still has like the same body, so he looks like he doesn't age very much, but it's just like he's living for a very long period of time. In like a borrowed body.
Yeah, they use a lot of the Zeta Beam stuff in like if you've seen like the Justice League Unlimited and stuff like that, they kind of use Zeta Beams. I think when they're teleporting heroes down from the Watchtower and that, and in Young Justice between the teleport stations in there, I believe that it's Zeta Beam technology.
Rather than doing like boom tube tech or
which is
something
another
like that,
good
I guess.
example of long distance teleportation. Now I think about it, boom tubes.
Yeah, the handheld teleportation device of Apocalypse.
New Gods in general, I think, use them. Well, I don't know, maybe New Justice uses them. Something along those lines, though. But yeah, boom tubes, they make a lot of loud noise, and then you're there.
And then there you go. You walk up the staircase. And there you go. Chris, is there anyone who does it really well or really different than you could think of?
Well, I think kind of looking towards classic sci-fi and things like that is a great place to look when you look at, especially in terms of video games and things like that. One of the things that was always important in old space sim games, which is important being as you've got a bunch of new space sim games coming out, is the waypoint system, where basically each of the ships was capable of potentially being faster than light, or what would effectively appear to be teleportation. But the only way that you could actually make sure that they went where they were supposed to go was to have something that told them that where they actually were, and that was the waypoint system. Because it doesn't matter how fast you could reach a destination, because we actually talked about it with the time travel episode. Is that whole the universe still moves? I mean, what you assume to be teleportation is not really, or like what you might consider to be moving to the correct spot, and that hundredth of a second might be miles, hundreds of miles off. And so, I mean, past that, in terms of good examples, I mean, they've had some pretty interesting uses of it in video games. I mean, even playing actually like the X-Men Destinies and things like that, where you actually get to play as Nightcrawler. Yeah, I mean, they effectively give you exactly what they tell you, is you get to move a particular distance instantly, and it's both very difficult to utilize, but also kind of massively overpowered once you do.
Yeah, it's dark dimension sort of power base sets. Actually, should we talk
Yeah.
about the Dark Dimension and Marvel a little
Why
bit?
don't we finish up this and then we'll go into that afterwards. We'll finish up what
Fair
everyone
enough.
thinks and then we'll go into weird Dark Dimension stuff.
Yeah, well, it has its own merits, but fair enough. Anna?
Jace?
Is there anyone who you think does it really well or really differently in terms of teleportation?
I've got a weird one
Okay,
in mind, and it's something that's always troubled me since I was little,
go for it.
which is Pokemon.
Abra used teleport.
Which is not the Pokemon themselves even.
Oh
The
yeah.
items.
The items can be teleported,
Yeah.
and they do not utilize this technology for anything good, except for Pokeballs. Like,
You know that okay. So you know how Ken usually freaks out about topics like this? I've actually discussed my theories on teleportation in the Pokeballs. Okay, so basically they tell you that, kind of in general theory with teleportation, is there winds up being three main phases in any teleportation process. Is there's deconstruction, transmission, and then reconstruction. If you realize when you pick up Pokeballs out in the wild in Pokemon,
Yeah.
they can have items in them too, right? So effectively what it is all of your Pokeballs are actually first and second stage matter teleporters. They don't do the third stage until you open the ball. So what happens is when you hit them with the Pokeball, effectively the reason you need them to be low energy is actually so that they don't move enough to scramble their code. And so what it is it kind of trons them up and digitizes them and then pulls them into the data bank of a Pokeball and then stores them until you reconstruct them outside of
As
it.
opposed to a Master Ball, which is like a really, really good flash drive. Like the best flash drive you can have.
Exactly.
why
Yeah.
can't you use one on a person?
Well, that's illegal.
Yeah, you might potentially be able to. If I had to guess, the Pokemon Corp probably disabled that as a feature.
It's like, if it's safe for Pokemon,
Well,
why wouldn't it be for a person? Unless it's a horrible thing, and you're traumatizing your pets every time.
Why do you think the Pokemon can only say their names?
Oh.
Mhm.
Except for Meowth, who doesn't go into the Pokemon.
It all makes sense now.
Game theories with Utropeia.
One other one I had in mind, but it's not technically
Okay.
teleportation. The Prestige.
Oh, I wanted to get into the Prestige
Just
at
for the
some
topic
point.
of it. Sorry, okay, we can save it for later then.
We can. That movie's been out for 2 years, so if you have not
It's
seen
been
it,
out for more than 2
it's
years.
yeah. Then it's there. That's the thing, is that if a movie's been out for more than 2 years and you haven't kind of gone out to see it yet,
We can give sufficient warning.
yeah, don't get mad at us for the spoilers we're gonna drop on you. Spoilers, we're breaking up with you. Say that to your next ex and see how they take it, and then proceed to do it. Okay, but yeah, we'll talk about the Prestige.
Yeah, we can save that one.
Oh, okay. Bill. Is there anyone who you think does teleportation really well or just differently from most of the main canon?
I think you guys covered most
Yes.
everything that I know of. To touch on Yugo again, I think it's really cool, the idea of if you put a portal inside a portal, it makes a beam.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to talk a little bit about Yugo's power set too, because when we get into kind of the who does it differently section, it's kind of nice to really dissect it for why they're different and why they're a little bit more interesting. And for Yugo, it's sort of the same with Jumper, where if you make just multiple portals in a row, you kind of increase your momentum because you're moving forward faster and faster. And it's just like with Portal, also the game, where if you fall through, you can increase your momentum until you can make a portal elsewhere and then just shoot through it like a sort of Moonjump.
This seems relevant.
That is not how we do it on the moon, but I can't tell you exactly how. But I will give you a hint.
Redacted.
We might have a particular set of shoes.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, is it raining?
Speaking of teleportation and moon shoes, you know who winds up also using teleportation to a level while they travel through time?
Who?
Bill and Ted.
That's
Yeah.
right. They do teleport. Time travel is also technically teleportation, if you think about it, for some
Teleportation
machines.
through time.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, that was in the past.
Or
though.
the future.
We didn't talk about Flint the Time Detective.
Past.
No.
Oh darn!
So how about that dark world?
Yeah. I need to get away from this as quickly as possible into the dark dimension. Okay, so the dark dimension in Marvel Comics is the dimension that is closest to ours, technically, in the 616 main canon sort of Marvel universe. So because it's the closest dimension, we get a lot of bleed over for different powers and other crazy things. So the dark dimension is actually this horrible dimension of swirling black matter and
Pretty much like hell.
yeah.
As a dimension.
Is it like the Cancerverse?
No, the Cancerverse is just like H.P. Lovecraft stuff, but they did a poor job naming it that.
Oh, they did.
The dark dimension bleeds over. A lot of people use it as a teleportation system, which is what Nightcrawler technically uses. He uses the dark dimension to travel in between worlds and just sort of bamps everywhere, and there's the smell of fire and brimstone and a little puff of the black smoke, and that's actually from the dark dimension. Doorman uses it too, and that's what his body's kind of made out of, but at a very, very low level. So that's how he also teleports.
Cloak use it at all?
Cloak does use it, actually. Cloak is another teleporter who wraps himself up in other people. He can teleport you to the dark dimension directly, or just use you to teleport around. He's actually sort of a living portal himself, basically. So if you were to go inside of Cloak's cloak, that's the dark dimension, more or less. I think Blackout is also a dark dimension character, but his thing is more about absorbing light than it is teleporting. But yeah, that's sort of what the dark dimension is, and I think that's a really cool way of using the teleportation power, actually, of just having it, adding a flavor to it, almost, giving it that fire and brimstone. We all know, Ken, demons, hell, demons, devils, demons, 666, etc., etc. We touch on it once a week, so why not now?
Have you ever seen that one episode of X-Men Evolution where Forge slows down Nightcrawler's teleportation, and he pretty much goes into the hell dimension?
Oh yeah.
And then creatures start following him out of it. So it's a pretty interesting episode.
You might have to link me that episode. Or...
Yeah, you might like that one.
Okay, that's an interesting idea. What was the other one that we wanted to... Oh, did anyone else want to talk about Dark Dimension at all?
No, we covered it. I mean, that's pretty straightforward what it is. It's just kind of like the crazy realm that people abuse to get dark, weird powers out of.
Instead of like just teleporting through question mark space or some kind of ethereal nothingness,
Yeah,
it
it's
actually
like
has like a flavor.
Flickering out of one space and into another.
Yeah. What was there was another one that we were going to talk about.
The Prestige.
The Prestige, yes, the Prestige. Anna, did you want to say anything about it?
That gets into a whole different other kind of teleportation.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if that would come up with, like,
It's
ethics,
a good one.
The ethics of teleportation.
Excellent point.
Depending on what you think.
Yeah. Oh, it's like if the technology existed, would you do it? That old chestnut?
Well, that chestnut, but also just like ethics just kind of play into it, depending on how you think the teleportation works or how it works in the universe.
Because this group in particular, even before the Utropeia days, have discussed teleportation and its ethics, I guess, because you are deconstructing a person and rebuilding them elsewhere. But if you think about it, it's not really, you're really just kind of making a clone in another place, which, spoilers, is what the Prestige sort of does.
The Prestige does it in a very, like, intense way, too. Because, I'll go into it a little here, is in the Prestige. He finds a device that pretty much, like, they think it's a teleporter, but it ends up just cloning you to another, like, specific area. At some point, I think a cat starts to get, like, cloned over and over again, and that's how they find it. It's cats and I think a bunch of hats.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, I never made that Seussical connection in the Prestige.
But he starts using it for magic tricks and essentially kills a bunch of copies of him or him. You don't really ever know because
this is another one we'll get into later.
Yeah. So eventually he's either through this teleport clone or he's either committing suicide or murder for every show, but he does it for the art. And it's Hugh Jackman, so it's kind of like X-Men.
Well, I think my only problem with that movie is, dude, why would you keep all of them?
Yeah.
That's just
It's really hard
weird.
to hide the bodies, I guess. I don't know. Like, maybe as a memory, it's messed up. He's already got, like, the blind stagehands, too, so it's like, why can't they just, like, load them into a funeral car and have someone else, like, no. I guess there would just be too many questions. I guess that's the only way I can really explain it.
Just too many questions.
It's just a body a night. Well, I guess the money's good.
Abracadabrah, here's a cadaver.
That's the episode title. Didn't even have to judge that one.
Thank you.
Well, and yeah, it does bring up, Anna was talking about it with the ethics of teleportation, and it kind of it both depends on the mechanics of your universe and also your universe's philosophy, which is also one of those kind of important writing tips with it, is because, if you're just literally basically opening up a wormhole through subspace to another.
Are we talking about that movie?
Oh no.
Okay, I'm gonna calm down. Hold on.
So in Event Horizon...
That's it, we're leaving.
But yeah, I mean, if you're just literally walking from one place to another effectively, no one cares. Yeah. But, it's one of those, and they actually, I think one episode that did it really well is when you actually deal with Barclay from Star Trek The Next Generation, who is freaking out about getting in a teleporter.
Mm-hmm.
Because he realizes that what happens is matter is deconstructed on one side of the teleporter, and what shows up on the other side, he believes isn't him. And yeah, I mean, if that's the case, you are effectively killing someone. I mean, what comes out is a very good copy on the other side, but...
And it fulfills a need, I guess, if you have to be somewhere with a certain set of memories and expertise and knowledge, but you have a sentimentality for your own mortality, I guess.
Yeah, well, and there was actually, I wish I could remember the name of the old sci-fi story. Basically, what they did was they'd sent a colony ship, effectively to a planet. I think it wound up being something super generic like Titan.
Yeah.
But to have people help colonize it, actually, what they did was they sent this colony ship in, and they would actually have clones of these people made.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and it was part of the thing with the morality of the universe is that the human soul didn't rest in the body. And what the technology was really about wasn't, they're like, oh yeah, you can regrow limbs or anything else. Regrowing a body isn't much harder. And so what they'd actually perfected was basically a way to nudge the soul into a body on another planet. And so what they did was they would shoot your clone over to a planet and then shoot your brain into it. And that was kind of like their mortality for it, but that was basically how like humanity had colonized the stars until basically that method of transit and everything got cut off and people freaked out and there were wars. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those, it's important to kind of establish whether it's, matter to matter, whether it's just super, super fast and we call it teleportation, or if you're dealing with wormholes or anything else. I mean, that's part of the mechanics of your own story.
Yeah, which is really cool because kind of like time travel, there's different ways you can do it. Like you said, there's like the deconstruction, reconstruction kind of thing, or there is like the shooting through time and space really fast like that, which is really cool kind of way, which means you you could have it as an ethical part of your story, or you can have it as a hand wave kind of power, depending on the severity of it all, of how you do it and how exactly your world is based with it.
Yeah, because don't get me wrong, I mean, there's nothing more of a downer than talking about mortality in your awesome teleportation adventure story.
And he shot through space and time, and he died somewhere.
But he
in
realized
the middle of it.
and he just realized he was a cheap fake.
I'm a phony. I'm a phony.
Oh, that'd be the best teleportation story ever. The guy just
Goes
gets to
from
the
being
end and
happy,
he's like,
fun-loving guy.
like, oh, I'm on the other side of town, but at what a terrible cost.
But I'm not even
But
me.
I'm a monster.
I'm some other guy. No. Oh.
Oh, beautiful.
That is the fan prompt for this week. Just
All
your
you
favorite
writers and comic makers, get on that.
draw a very sad Nightcrawler just weeping into an open bowl. Here's our
Mein
fake
Gott.
Nightcrawler. Mein Gott in Himmel. My cloning.
Bunch of Nightcrawlers and tanks.
No tanks.
No tanks.
Okay. Wow. We've talked about a lot of really cool, different ways to do it. A lot of unique abilities and intrinsic values. I gotta be honest. I had a little bit of a hard time coming up with the next one. I have 1 point, but we can talk about it still. Who does it badly, or who makes it kind of redundant for teleportation? If anyone can kind of think of something along those lines.
I can't think of a lot of people who do it badly because it's kind of standard.
Because teleportation is really cool.
Yeah.
Everyone wants it.
Like, about the only one I could think just does it like kind of standardly is Mega Man. We're just kind of like blipped in and out. But that's
Video games just do that in general, though. Like Legend of Zelda, when you finish a temple, like you get booted into wherever you need
but
to
like
go.
Mega Man legitimately like turns into light and like fires up into the air. Like he's actually using like mechanical teleportation. Although
Just add a screaming sound when he teleports.
but like actually a decent example of a kind of teleportation that we haven't talked about was with actually Zelda was A Link to the Past, jumping between the two worlds through a magic item.
That like time or dimension hopping.
No, that is
that is
dimension
more
hopping.
dimension.
There's Oracle of Ages, which is more of a time hop. But I mean, if you think about it, you can use time or dimension hopping as sort of a secondary means to teleportation. If you really think about it, because that's what Nightcrawler's kind of doing with the Dark World stuff, or the Dark Dimension stuff, is he's using another dimension to move himself through space and time, a la Event Horizon style, pretty much, folding space in on itself, or just kind of, using a shorter distance to kind of move somewhere. A lot of video games do that too, with like kind of moving through dimensions.
Yeah, kind of your standard, just moving from one place to another.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was actually, you've given me my impetus, and it is full of black hate.
Okay.
For on something that does it badly.
Okay.
So there wound up being a game. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe you guys heard about it. It was Eternal Sonata.
I vaguely remember this.
Okay.
I already had this conversation.
Okay.
With Chris.
Oh yeah, this is a sore spot for me. So, in Eternal Sonata, you play as Chopin, and you're in like his crazy dying fever dreams, where he goes to help some world, and help them out with their problems. One of the things that they have in there is he's trying to basically they're using this like almost like spice type thing
Ooh, spice.
to augment their soldiers' powers.
Is it a
and
new
stuff
spice?
like that. And
Or is it an Old Spice?
Or an
Yes.
Old Spice.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I would do the whistle, but I can't whistle. Thanks, Todd.
Oh!
but so in the game, basically, long story short, you go help out the king with his problem with people using spice and they're terrorists. Well, you find out that it was the butler, and then he eats a bunch of spice, turns into a dragon, and then punches into the land of the dead. Okay, completely unexplained. You are now in the land of the dead, and he's a dragon, because that makes
From the
sense.
flippin' Spice Butler.
Yeah. Like, he apparently just shoves a bunch in his mouth, and that was enough to turn him into a dragon. And break time.
Fair enough.
And dimensions. So, then also, because Chopin dies in there, in the game, he also dies in real life.
Okay.
So, bad teleportation, because apparently Chopin's mind goes into this awful video game, and then he commits suicide because of it. Because I agree with that. Oh, and in that game there was also this big long ending about a caterpillar and the taste of light.
I'm glad we found your Planet of the Apes remake.
I'm glad we found your Event Horizon.
I'm glad we found
here's
your
the thing, that game...
Did we lose Chris? Oh, we lost. He Moonjumped out.
Nope.
Did you teleport us?
Yeah, I did. So, but in the game, actually, you deal with like a 3D battlefield, and where trees and things like hang over the top of the field creates light and shadow, and actually gives you like different abilities as you move through the shadows or in the sunlight. And it was a really cool thing. Like, the game was actually really cool. And then literally, it was like a 25-hour story that they nuked in 30 minutes at the end, after the butler takes a bunch of spice and turns into a time dragon.
Spice Butler
and
is my
breaks into the
favorite
land of
villain. Spice Butler is the next BBEG in our D&D games.
it's so, I mean, yes, in terms of doing it badly, I'm pretty sure, hey, suddenly you can teleport and stuff. It's not okay.
Just, I guess to piggyback off of Spice Butler and the amazing Deadnicolor dream coat is probably just explaining it badly, I guess, would probably be just the bad way to do it. Just, yeah, you can do it. Who cares? I could tell you how you teleport with straws on a table, but who really gives a shit?
Yeah.
I guess that would probably be the big way that teleportation can kind of suck or be redundant, is if it's just, no, you can just do it now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to explain it. I will say this. DBZ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, instant transmission was really effing cool after a while. But when everyone could do it...
No one could.
And, yeah. And when it just sort of became like an easy way to skimp out on animation and just have a bunch of lines.
That's pretty much all anything in DBZ was. DBZ was power creep anime.
I just like how Goku could do that and
Just
they never
like-
visited his son.
Yeah.
Bye, son!
Well, Goku's just terrible, because even when Mecha Frieza shows up, he's like, oh, I could have just got here instantly, but I wanted to see how you guys would do.
Sure.
You guys are strong now, right? Krillin can't just be blown up, right?
Nope, still
Okay.
blown up?
Oh,
Okay.
my bad.
So there are these things called Dragon Balls. And it's supposed to be a great feat to find them, but there's like 6. So,
7. Come on.
What episode
no,
is this?
there's like 6 right there.
We need to go find one.
So you can just have those. Right? The 7th is in my car.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. I mean, are there any other ones that come to mind? Probably. Oh,
What?
you got one?
It's not anything specific,
Okay.
but this happens a lot with... It's a question that comes up with teleportation. There's usually shitty rules made up as to why they can't do it when it's convenient.
You can't do it if anyone else is looking, because I'm Morgan Freeman,
People will
and I'm
teleport.
explaining this to you.
People will fucking teleport to, like, random locations, but when it's like, we gotta invade the space or something,
Yeah.
it's always just, no, you can't teleport there.
Blocked.
Oh, they've
What?
got anti-teleportation mechanisms inside of their base. Too much ice cream. Can teleport around ice cream.
My tummy's achy, I can't teleport you there.
I am teleportation's lactose intolerant.
I can only teleport biological materials, even though I'm a giant skeleton. And a giant metal skeleton encased in
I can
skin.
only teleport my skeleton across
That's
the
a
room.
terrible, awful
Oh,
ability.
inside out baboons all
The
over
Skeleporting.
again.
I love Skeleport.
Skeleport. Beautiful.
What could improve the trope or just make it better as an example? My vote is for
Skeleport
Skeleport.
all over.
Just imagine a guy, like, this empty sack of skin on a couch. And he teleports out.
Oh, I skeleported again.
I imagine Skeleport is like, finally, I'm free of that meat
Oh,
muscle.
can he be the official superhero
Now I get
of
to go
the
to the
Utrope
bone
podcast, the Skeleport?
Skeleport is going to be added to our Justice League of the Utropeia podcast,
Along with the one-time transformer.
along with Chocolate Milk Spider-Man.
Chocolate Milk Spider-Man, the Skeleporter.
I have the ability to kill anyone's uncle with chocolate milk. It's no Skeleporting, but man.
This one's for you, Skeleport. We salute you. What does he do to save the day?
Shout out. He teleports other people's skeletons out of their bodies.
Murders people by teleporting their skeletons away.
Oh no!
Guys, I know we're joking around, but I fucking love Skeleport.
Look for Skeleport in your local comic store. Coming soon to you.
This sounds like another thing we have to make and post onto our page at some point. Make a cover for
Done.
Skeleport.
The Skeleport fan page.
Like I want to
done?
make just like a like your basic comic book cover, like your like 50-cent comic book cover of Skeleport.
Like
Yeah,
classic.
like the old
find-
school one.
You could do a Rob Liefeld
You
Skeleporting.
can't because Skeleport has no muscle, so he can't be giantly bulked up.
That's why
But he
Skeleport's so
can't
Yeah,
happy.
he can
always
have
have
tiny
time and feet.
So he's halfway to a Rob Liefeld drawing.
That's why Skeleport's so happy, because he's out of his muscle prison.
I'm glad we have totally derailed off of topic to Skeleport.
Look, I think this is the best way to improve the trope.
Yeah, I don't think any of us can argue.
All right, so that brings us to the prompt for next week.
Okay.
Actually, no, unless you guys have... no, seriously, if you guys have...
No, there's no talking Skeleports.
I had one other one, actually. It was... Okay,
Well,
go for it, Chris.
The one thing I was gonna mention is, you know, the kind of, because I'm the contrarian, the one thing that I always find interesting that they've never really dealt with.
He teleported again.
Maybe he got Skeleported away.
Skeleport. Well, the one thing I was gonna mention is, I find it unusual that they never deal with the issue of when you're teleporting into stuff. You know, you still have to go into air,
Yeah.
like, but that never seems to be something handled. Like, it's not like you're teleporting into empty space.
I guess if it's technology, like, you can kind of filter out the air particles and reassemble them, but yeah, if it's someone who, like, has that intrinsic ability, or if it's like I am teleporting this general space sort of thing, a la The Fly.
I mean, maybe if you just made a teleporter who really needed to fart, you know, or maybe he has to come out of it slowly, like the bends.
Yeah.
You know?
That's kind of an interesting way to handle it, actually. It's always...
Like space camping.
Exactly.
The 30-minute warm-up for the teleporter.
But no, seriously, it's kind of cool to make anything kind of interesting. It's kind of nice to put limitations on it. Like, yeah, there's what Anna was talking about with like you can't teleport into certain areas, but having a limitation on something as very powerful and very cool as teleportation is it makes it a little bit more interesting, I guess. Like, only being able to do it very slowly at a period at a time, or having
also line of sight.
Yeah.
Usually a rule with like teleporters. Like they can't teleport into a room.
Yeah, it can teleport into a wall or something, and that just gets messy.
Having that very real mortality sort of to it, rather than it just being like something that's sort of overpowered or ridiculous. Like really changing it out. I had a serious one and a joke one. And since we already touched Skeleporting, I'll go on to the serious one first. It was every time you teleport, and this is sort of if you have like a particular flavor, like Dark Dimension or Adam Strange, the Zeta Beams. If it's something that's alien, what if it alters your body every time you use it? Something like that. I'm sure that there are stories that kind of have that value. If you tap into an alien power, it changes you a little bit more and more. But, I mean, if you're, going through this alternate space, but it's still you and you're not reconstructing a clone every time, what if it changes your physiology? You could kind of do some really cool sort of metamorphosis, body sort of stuff with that, with your character, or... if it's like a whole people, you could make a whole race of people that way, like ethereal, like semi-ghost people or something like that.
Totally.
It's if it's something that's kind of like that, really, playing up on sort of a cause and effect sort of thing that way. And the other one was just teleportation punch. You just punch someone and you don't know where you send them.
It's like a kind of a random teleport kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was a roulette punch or punch roulette. I think was the
that
name.
Sounds awesome. That should be what Skeleport does.
He also has punch roulette ability.
Roulette.
If it could be kind of interesting if it was like less of a it could be anywhere and more of a it could be anywhere between like 2 inches to 100 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
So you could punch someone out of a building or like directly behind you, and then that could really mess you up at the same time.
I like that. It seems like a fun way to use the power.
Yeah, you can do a lot of joke stuff with it too, I think, but it depends on what your flavor and what you like to do. Yeah. Any more before we get into the closing part of the pod?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well.
I got nothing.
All right. And because I almost always forget every time, the prompt for next week. Are you proud of me, Todd?
I'm very proud of you, Ken. I'm always proud of you, even when I have to remind you.
You have to remind me of Event Horizon. And just trigger words of the episode. Not only episode 100, my 100 trigger words. Skeleport. I'm gonna Skeleport.
Which would probably actually fit in that universe.
Yeah. What?
The Skull Raiser.
Skellraiser. That's the villain. That's Skeleport's villain, Skellraiser. Just raises more skeletons. Okay. Yeah. So the prompt for next week. We've done a time, and we've done a place. Actually, I was thinking of underwater for.
Yeah, well, that works out really well then.
Oh, man.
All right.
We'll go.
It was between that or deserts. Yay! And until we see you next time, this is Ken, Pumpkin, and I'll go with, what did I do last time? Top to bottom? I'll do bottom up this time. So, Todd?
That's me. This is Todd. Thanks again for listening, everyone.
Chris?
Hey, this is Chris. Thanks for tuning in.
He teleported out. And Anna.
Representing Skeleport. See you next week.
All right, this has been Utropeia, and until we talk geek next week, bye-bye.